She remembers everything about it. So anyway, Sylvie and I are here. Jamie is on his way. We have Lyman Duncan. There's Jamie walking in the door right now. Welcome, Jamie. We have Mac McDonald as staff. And we welcome Elaine and other staff members here as well. We have a standing practice of having an invocation. We offer the audience a chance to participate in that, after which we'll have a pledge of allegiance. So if there's anybody that would like to volunteer for our invocation today, Sylvia, you want to do it? Okay, thanks.
Our dear Heavenly Father, we come before Thee this morning. We are so grateful for the many blessings that we have received this past year. Heavenly Father, we pray that Thou would bless the leaders of our nation, that they would make right choices, not only for our benefit here in San Juan County, but throughout our nation. Heavenly Father, we ask Thee to bless our workers, bless them with opportunities, bless them with health and strength, bless them with the ability to do the things that are necessary for them in their job. We are grateful for the people of San Juan County that we serve. We pray that Thou will help us to be mindful of their needs, that when we are able to be inspired to do the right things to help us navigate our situation here in San Juan County. Heavenly Father, we feel a privilege to be part of this, part of Thy vineyard. We ask that Thou would bless us with the things necessary for us to sustain here. Bless us with financial opportunity that we may be able to meet our responsibilities, that we may be able to help our workers and community prosper. And we say these things with a very grateful heart. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen. We all rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, Commissioners, you've had a chance to look over the agenda. Is there any need for a conflict of interest declaration?
No.
Okay, none of us have a need for that. So we'll move forward to our public comment. Matt, if you'll take care of that for us.
Let's see here. Anne, do you have a public comment? She's the only one online. Then it looks like nobody's signed up in here in the audience. And so with that, Commissioners,
Okay, very good.
Too much.
First on our agenda, item number 1 is under recognitions, presentations, and informational items. We have Elaine Giesler from our Economic Development Visitor Services to make a report on housing assessment. Elaine, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Happy New Year to all of you. And thank you for this time to give you a short presentation on the housing assessment. So we put out an RFP last year for a housing assessment that we want to conduct throughout San Juan County. And we selected a company, Points Consulting, that is going to conduct the assessment. And we're in the process of all the planning. But one of the most exciting things is that we just received a grant, $51,000 toward the cost of the $81,300 costs. So the state has granted us, and it was Mac and myself that were trying to write that application.
We were traveling.
We were traveling and we both stopped at the same location, except I was like an hour ahead of him. So anyway, they granted us the funds, which is really going to help a lot. So I'm excited about that. So we're going to have meetings in LaSalle, Monticello, Blanding, and then down on the Navajo Nation. So we have put together, we're going to put up flyers like this, and we're posting them online, and we're going to put them up in all the public areas that talks about where the meeting is going to be. We've already got locations, except I've got old JTO confirmed at the visitor center. I'm waiting on Mexican Water, and hopefully Martha Sagboy will help me to facilitate that. So we have 2 meetings. And I wanted to also have a postcard sent out, an invitation to businesses, to just anyone who we think should attend the public meeting. I didn't just want to do it online or just put up a flyer, but I think if they get an invitation, it's going to mean a lot more for them, people to attend. So I'm excited about that. Hopefully, we did an interview on the podcast, which will be coming up with Brian Points, the owner of Points Consulting. I'm also trying to get Brian on the local radio station. And then I do understand that KZMU is now broadcasting here in San Juan County from Moab. They've got a reach down here, so I'm going to talk to them as well, just so we get public input from the entire county, everyone that's living here, to talk about what our housing needs are. So that's it. So we'll have LaSalle, Monticello, Blanding, Monument Valley, and hopefully Mexican Water. So, and one of the other exciting things is the fellow, which I will talk about later in the meeting. We were so lucky to get a fellow for San Juan County. And when he arrives, Mick Thornton is his name, he will be working with Points Consulting to conduct and work on the assessment. So that's it. Any questions?
I have a question. On the 29, it's just that for Monticello, or it's also for
It's
LaSalle?
It's going to be Monticello. You know what? I have the LaSalle date is, I think, the day before. I have to get you the
Okay.
dates.
Okay.
So I'll send those out to you.
Okay.
But we did Blanding and Monticello first, and then I reached out to LaSalle because we'd also like the Spanish Valley people to attend the meeting in LaSalle, since they have a meeting room up in LaSalle that would facilitate more people. So we're trying to cover the whole county, so we don't leave anyone out.
Sounds good.
And I'll get you those dates. Cool.
Thank you.
Very good. Now, did you lose one employee from the office down there? The young lady that was working there, is her contract done, or is she still here?
No, she's still here. She's a full-time employee.
Oh, okay.
So she's here, and she's expecting in end of April.
Very
So,
good.
yeah, and the fellow that we're getting is going to be an independent contractor, and I'll go into that a little later. But we're really lucky to have that person for 2.5 years, and they're moving here with their family somewhere in the area.
This is a fellow from BYU?
I don't think so. No, he's from either Arkansas. No, he's from the Midwest somewhere.
What?
They only have fellowettes there.
Fellowettes.
So
Well, we just
I'm
hope
sorry. I tried to do my best to recruit someone
just
from
hope-
BYU.
We just hope Utah can win a bowl game sometime the next 15 years or something.
there, I agree.
Thank you. Very good. All right.
They're still waiting for their invitation.
Well, I know, but if they get an invitation, they could at least win. Okay. Next on the agenda is our consent agenda. Mac, will you go through that for us?
All right. So you have item number 2, ratification of a letter of support for the research grant by Electroflow Technologies and partner Mandrake Lithium USA for the grant request to the Utah Lithium in Lisbon Valley, Utah. This one
Now,
was
tell us a little bit about that.
that's, the
That's a
fun.
lot of.
This one was so.
Is
we
it
had
an individual contractor
go
or?
through Nick? They're Electroflow Technologies and Mandrake are the ones that are applying for the grant funding. And so as they apply for, and we see this a lot, as individual companies or entities apply for grant
Okay.
funding where they require a letter of support. This is one that we felt that anything in Lisbon Valley, especially mineral extraction, is something that we continue to support. It's in our general plan to continue to look to ways to increase employment opportunities here in San Juan County, and this is one of them. If we can get more lithium,
So this is an individual company that has
It
asked
is. Yep.
for the letter.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
And I think it's good because it's not like they're going to go exploring. They know where the stuff is. So
Absolutely. Yep. And it's in Lisbon Valley, and we had initially received the request from Lynn Jackson. Sorry, there in Grand
This
County,
is
and
the
so
letter Lynn wanted.
Yep. Yep. And so, we're on things like this that support our general plan and support our overall mission. Is we definitely welcome any opportunity, any funds, especially even to private companies that will help them make a betterment to the county, which is why we put
Okay.
this before you. And then the next one, item 3, is approval of the December 14th, 2023 to December 22nd, 2023 check registers. Item number 4, you have the approval of the December small purchases of $1,394.03 for a display module for the road department. Item number 5 is the approval of the State of Utah Department of Government Operations lease amendment number 7 for the Adult Probation and Patrol Office. They lease a small office in our administrative safety building, public safety building over there. It's only $150 a month. It's $1,800 a year, but they want to continue to lease that office space from us, and so
Is that
this is a continuation of that lease.
fair rate to be
It
charging?
was. I asked them that same question, and,
Okay.
and in here in the lease, it increases every year as well. So it's just not a fixed lease. I believe it increases 1% a year on there, and so they check it anytime they renew leases or amend. They go back and look across this general area of what lease rates are going for and try to base it on the market. And so they've been pretty good. The state, I feel, has
Seems
been
pretty
good
cheap to
about it.
me.
Well, it's only a small little space, only a little office. I wish they'd lease more. And so, but yeah, that was what they had offered. If you want, I can always go back and say, hey,
No, it's fine.
okay. On item number 6, approval of the travel reimbursement form for calendar year 2024. This is an ongoing, mostly every year we've been adjusting these, setting them based off of the IRS rate. The IRS changed their rates back in December, whopping 1 cent, 1.5 cents is what they've increased it to. So now on mileage
for the
reimbursement,
fuel?
you're at 0.67. This is your mileage, so per mile.
That shows you
it's
how
0.67.
out of touch the federal government is with the price of fuel.
Well, they don't do anything for fuel. They just give you a reimbursement rate for your
Mileage rate, though.
mileage rate. Yep.
Yeah, of course.
can I ask a couple of questions about this part of the agenda? I don't know if I can or not, but there's an item on the checks
Check register?
under item 3 about checks.
Okay.
There's a $200,000 that goes to the Navajo Nation. I was kind of
Correct.
curious about that.
So that's our settlement that we have to pay every year.
Okay.
That was for 7
From the
years that we
lawsuit?
paid
From
that
the
from the
lawsuit,
lawsuit. And
okay.
so that's why you
So-
see that amount there.
so
We're
that-
about done with that, aren't we?
Got 2 more years left on that.
Is that for a month?
No,
Just this
just
is
once a year.
once a year. Okay.
So we held it until the very last minute. They, in the past, have hesitated to even cash the checks. So we just keep it in our account as long as we can.
Okay. And also, when they talk about U.S. Bank corporate, payments? Are those credit
Credit cards.
Okay.
Yep, those are the credit card payments.
Just educating myself.
Yep, I appreciate the questions. So that item number 7, that final one, is consideration and approval for the alcohol license renewal, Airmark Sports 7, Entertainment, Halls Crossing Store, and Halls Crossing Marina, and that's just a renewal.
Do
To
we issue
continue.
them a license if they're not open? And haven't been
In
open
hopes
for
for
2 years?
Is
Yes,
that-
yeah.
Is that 250 a year or just one
Yes,
you
that's
buy?
correct.
Okay,
Yeah. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion.
Have a second?
I'll second.
Motion by Sylvia, second by Jamie. Is there further discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Aye also. That's 3 in favor, 0 opposed. Next on our agenda is the business and action items. Mac, will you take care of number 8?
Okay, this one, consideration and approval of a resolution setting the term and rotation of the chair and vice chair of the Board of San Juan County Commission for the year of 2024. So it is that time to nominate, go through the process to have a new chair. Typically the chair, obviously you see Commissioner Adams has been the chair for the last year of your new terms as elected officials, and so hopefully you've been
Mac told me that
taking
that
notes.
was a 5-year appointment, so if he's renewing it this year, that's why I'm not running.
Yeah. Yeah. In the past, these have rotated every 2 years, but typically it's common that the seat rotates every year. That
Well,
was
you should have
was
put
in
a
control.
conditional there so he cannot leave us.
yeah, totally. If you
Giving
keep
us
him
an
as the
idea-
chair,
Giving us an idea.
Too late.
and you can keep Commissioner Adams as the chair, but really behind the scenes, there's a lot of communication that me and the chair have, just administrative operations of things that take place, sometimes daily, sometimes weekly, and but there is that communication that takes place there. They kind of help oversee the agenda, and if there's agenda items that we don't want on here, that's up to the commission chair to determine that agenda flow. Obviously, the signing of all of the documents takes place from the commission chair. And so there's really not a lot to it other than those items and then running the flow of the meeting. So
He's trying to tell you it's an easy job. And
Trying to
if I'm not
convince you.
mistaken, you get an extra $50 to be the chair. Is that right, Mac?
I don't know about that one. I haven't heard of that. So
Oh, you mean I didn't get mine last year?
no,
Lyman, I want that in a lump sum for my 401k.
totally.
Is this at 50,000?
Huh?
$50 instead of $50.
So what do you want to do? Have you guys talked about it?
No, we haven't talked about
You
it.
don't do that outside of commission so you can get arrested for open meetings
Or a few days
violation?
arrest.
Violating
A
open
few days
meetings act.
arrest.
No. It is a good
You're gonna miss me when I'm gone.
It is a good opportunity when
We
he's
already
here.
know
to
that.
have
We
totally. And we are working on some new policies. You remember last year as USIP, as Johnny came down and trained us, he had mentioned that we really need to work on our policies, getting kind of the flow and organization of a meeting set. Commissioner Adams attended one that they had changed their policy on how their meetings are supposed to flow and when not to make a motion and when to have the discussion. And so I'll bring those before you during the next work session so we can kind of go through and take a look at that and see if that's something you guys want to adopt here.
We really don't run by Robert's Rules of Order.
I was going to say,
You know,
No.
it's
can we
way
put him
too
in charge
difficult.
of turning off our mic? Or I have the tendency just to speak up sometimes.
Yeah. Which is, yeah,
But
we're small
if
enough.
I don't do that, sometimes I'll fall asleep. So I have to say something.
But we need to have a written policy that says
Correct.
And
how we run our meetings.
Yeah,
So I gave Mac a draft copy of what USIP uses.
and I agree with that.
And
It need to be.
he'll go through that with with the commission so that we do have a written policy by where we conduct our business in the county
Commissioner Harvey, what are your feelings?
for the commission and others as well. So
Yep.
Well, I'm happy to step up if you need me to.
okay,
I know
we have a
that.
motion.
I don't know. Do we have a motion?
Okay, I'll make a motion for Commissioner Harvey to be our chairperson.
Okay, and I'll second that. So Sylvia makes a motion for Commissioner Harvey to be the chair, a second by myself. Further discussion? I want to see his credentials. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, also.
Aye.
Jamie, you okay with that?
Yeah. I'm
Okay.
Okay. With
3 in favor, 0 opposed.
Awesome. And I need
you
a
want-
vice chair as well.
Okay. I'll nominate Sylvia to be the vice chair.
I'll
Do I get
second.
$25?
No, you don't get anything.
Have you been receiving your $25 all year?
She gets
No, I guess
25 and I got
I guess I
nothing.
already sit in here. I'll just keep my same seat.
Jamie, you second that?
I second that. Yeah.
Okay, we have a motion by myself and a second by Jamie for Sylvia to be the vice chair. All in favor say aye.
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 I also, that's 3 in favor, 0 opposed. Do you want him to take over now or?
He takes over now.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Okay, Jamie, you won that election handily.
You didn't have to have
It's
signatures
up
on
to
that
you
one.
whether we get out before midnight or not. Now.
And if you see me disappear around noon, I already have permission to disappear.
You're
So,
already disappearing.
Absolutely.
okay.
11:22. We'll watch. Make sure.
All right. Well,
So I can announce it if you want on just the order of it. This next one is the item number 9, consideration and approval of the county board discussion and assignments for calendar year 2024. I've listed on here kind of all of the assignments that everybody's taking right now, as well as those that I kind of cover and oversee. These are all from 2023. Some of them, Commissioner Adams, are appointed by the governor, so we can't really boot him off of the boards that he's assigned to and appointed to. I think you're a chair on most of these,
Yeah,
and
I
so
am.
they just must not have known that school you come to or something. And so if there's any changes that you want on these assignments, or you're more than welcome to keep them as you continue to learn the roles and responsibilities of these boards, it's fine to do that as well.
I would just keep what I have. I also do the UTA board. I mean, for some reason,
That one is you're appointed. It's not
Okay.
it's not a county type
Okay.
function or board.
okay.
We can add that on there though. There's some that Commissioner Adams is also appointed to that that aren't on this list that we can't reassign to individuals. Commissioner Harvey, you okay staying the same?
I'm okay staying the same.
Okay. All right, we'll
Then
keep
we'll
those
leave
the
you,
same.
give you one more year to get us more
I've
money.
got one more year to get it right.
No, to get us some money, more money,
No,
because
I haven't been able to get it right for 19 years, so maybe this year.
well, just think of us, what we would do.
I make a motion to leave the assignments the same as they have been in the past.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Adams. Anyone want a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Stubbs. Any questions? Any comments? If there is none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous on vote.
Okay, this next one, we've got consideration and approval of the Economic Recovery Corp's Memorandum of Understanding with San Juan County for participation in the fellowship program. Elaine.
Okay. As I had mentioned earlier, I'm excited that we have been chosen from hundreds of areas across the country to have a independent contractor. That's what they will really be operating as, here in San Juan County to work on the housing assessment while it's taking place. But then after the housing assessment is completed by Points Consulting, that fellow will continue he'll be here a total of 2.5 years. They're actually investing $225,000 in our county over the course of that time to support him, to pay for his salary and everything. So he will then, once the housing assessment is done, he will then move forward trying to identify the housing needs throughout the county, and then locate developers that will be interested in hopefully coming to San Juan County, meet with the East Utah Housing Authority, work with SIL, work with all the different organizations throughout Utah and maybe outside of the state if we can get developers to come in. So that will be his position, and I think with his background, he will do really well. So he'll be working independently and then meeting with us myself on a regular basis, and then we'll determine what his schedule will be and if we need to change it. So this is a memorandum of understanding that will need to be approved, and I sent that over to the attorneys.
Yeah.
So
they're looking it over, and then we'll approve it today.
yep. And so I think that this is, for us, is a huge win to have, because I certainly can't, I wish I could devote just my time, or I don't have office staff to devote just their time. So him coming in to really wrap up the loose ends and look for opportunities for San Juan County, that's going to really be his responsibility. So we're blessed to have that happen to us. So,
You had interviewed how many candidates for this?
well, let's see, I interviewed, he was, 3, 4, 5.
5 candidates, and so good qualifying candidates. Roundabout through that fellowship program. We were actually denied this fellowship.
We were
put on the short list, but then, and this is kind of the importance of attending these meetings and kind of belonging to the associations. When I went back to Texas to the ICMA conference, the individual that was over that whole program was also sitting on this program as well. So I'm like, hey, we really need that, and through that conversation, somehow, all of a sudden, it's like, hey, we have this other fellow, would like you to interview and place them here in San Juan. And so just kind of through those associations.
Yeah, it's been a long process. It's been an interesting process and a learning process. And they had a Hawaii position and our position. There were like 2 positions, and I had to wait to see if what was going to work out. So I'm excited to have him come out here to Utah. And he's actually, the other candidates that we interviewed, 3 out of the 5 were remote.
Yeah.
Which would have never worked, because you really need to be on the ground, especially if you're going into the indigenous communities and talking to people and build relationship. You just can't have somebody who's going to be a phone call. Has to be in person. So
I got excited when I read that because I guess I always think about the dollar sign, and this is new money coming.
This is right. This is not going to cost us. The only thing it may end up is if he has to use the county car, which we have to get approval for to go, down to meetings, wherever. But
somebody that with those qualification, full time to help us. I mean, this is very
exactly. I mean, they had 1,000+ people apply for these positions. So, we were really, really fortunate. I'm thrilled. And I've had conversations with Mick Thornton, and he and his family will be coming here. So I think he'll be, and when he comes in, we'll have him come up and get introduced to you. So.
Okay, well,
Where's he coming from?
He's currently in Florida. With his family. They had lived
Does
from.
he know how remote San Juan County is?
Yeah, I think his background, that's what I found interesting about his back. He actually is from the Oklahoma, I think it is, the Midwest. and so he sold his house and everything and moved in. He and his family are traveling around the country. So he's been in Utah, not here specifically, but I gave him all the downside of it,
This is what you're getting into.
Exactly. This is what we don't have. So
He can bring it to town where we don't have.
exactly right.
All right, commissioners, how would you like to do this? Any
We do it by motion or?
motion?
Yeah, we need to approve the memorandum of understanding.
Okay. We need to approve the memorandum of understanding, right? Is it a memorandum of understanding?
Mm-hmm.
So
I'll second.
we'll probably need a
Oh, we need
Commissioner Adams. Did you
I'll
motion?
make a motion then,
Okay.
if you're going to second.
Commissioner Stubbs second the motion. All
I thought
right.
you were making the motion, but I forgot you were the chair.
That's last year.
Yeah.
This is a new year,
I
so
know, so I guess I should have waited for you to.
All right. Do we have any other questions, commissioners?
No.
Any?
No.
Okay, then we'll go ahead and do the vote. All those in favor say aye.
I
Aye. That's three in favor. Thank you much. Next item is
next one's Elaine too.
Elaine.
She
I
does
have the
too.
next few.
All right.
It's the beginning of the year, and all these
Yeah.
contracts have to be signed. So the next contract is with Utah.com, and we've been using Utah.com in our department for several years, over 5 years. We did spend more with them in the past, but I have been slowly trimming them back because I think it'll just continue till we really maybe wean ourselves off of them eventually. But they are Utah.com, so just the name, sends people to their website. However, we did receive 4,000 requests for travel guides last year that we have mailed out. They generate leads from us, around from visitors interested around the county. So this has been part of was in the budget that I submitted. So, but again, we've spent 20,000 more than 20 in past years, but I see that we're moving in a little bit of a different direction with our marketing, and we again needed to trim them back. So, but I think we'll get the same results. So this is for $10,000 out of, and then we've got different tiers, and some of the key areas that they'll be focusing on within their website are things to do: national monuments, Four Corners, Blanding, Canyon Lands, and let's see what else, and just really destinations focus. A lot of this focus will be March, April, May. There'll be some in January and some in June, so it's kind of spread throughout the year.
This is an annual contract?
Okay. Yep.
All right, commissioners, got a contractual agreement with Utah.com.
I guess I'll make a motion
Mo-
to renew the contract.
And I'll
Motion
second
by
that.
Commissioner Stubbs, second by Commissioner Adams. Any other questions, commissioners, comments?
Nope.
If there's none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's 3 in favor.
Okay, this next one is consideration and approval of a contract for economic development visitor services director with Air DNA.
Yes, AirDNA is a new company that other counties in the state of Utah use them to track overnight rental occupancy. San Juan County's in a little bit of an unusual situation where, the majority of our hotels, lodging properties, 98% of our hotels are independent, which do not report their occupancy. So we can call them, but sometimes they really don't want to divulge what their occupancy is or their average daily rate. And we really need this information to help us identify what is happening in the area, who people are coming here, and how long are they staying, and what are they paying. So one of the one of the options for us is to track our overnight rentals in the same way that we would track a lodging property. And Smith Travel Retail is a report that generally branded hotels will contribute that information to, and you can buy that. I had that report when I was in Grand County, but since we have independent hotels here, we're not able to purchase that report. So, in an effort to try to understand who's coming here, how many, how often are they coming, what is our occupancy, what are they renting the overnight rentals for, the AirDNA will provide us with that information of where these people are coming from, how long they're staying. And I do believe that this information is going to help us when we start reaching out to other, say, branded developers for branded properties, that we can say, well, we know that our overnight rental pool is at 72% occupancy, which is higher than annual occupancy in lodging properties, and we know that this is the average daily rate. So I think in the end, it's really going to give us more information than we have right now. So this, in conjunction with what we use, we have Host Compliance Granicus, which is a little bit, it's different. It identifies the overnight rentals that are not in the right zone and brings that to our attention. So we're going to use both of them at this point, but I think having AirDNA, and I've found from other DMOs that this is really a benefit to them. So the package is $12,000 a year, and again, this was coming out of our economic development budget.
Commissioners, got a request to approve a contract with AirDNA.
Motion to approve.
Motion by
I'll
Commissioner
second.
Adams, second by Commissioner Stubbs. Any other comments or questions?
Nope.
There's none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's 3 in favor. Next item.
Okay, you got consideration approval of the 2024. Oh, let's see. Hold on. Sorry. Of the Visit USA Parks contract.
This is a custom ad. We've worked with Visit USA Parks, or Herman Global, which is the company that owns Visit USA Parks, in the past. Germany, for Salmon County, Germany is our number 3 country, and the Netherlands is number 7 for international visitation. And both countries had increased their year-over-year spending. And the visitors from Germany and the Netherlands seem to stay longer, and they focus on sustainability because that's their culture. So what we decided to do was to have an ad made and work with Visit USA Parks, which we will do the layout with them, but they'll have the translations, and they'll post this ad in Germany, and they'll also place it on Facebook, retargeting in the country. So it'll help us to get more visibility there in Germany and the Netherlands. And this is $6,000 again that was posted on our economic development budget. So we did not do this last year. We have worked with Herman Global in the past to do like photography and some different other marketing items, but this is new for us, and I'm excited about this opportunity.
Commissioners, got a request for a contract for $6,000 for Visit USA Parks.
I'll make a motion.
I second the motion.
Motion by Commissioner Stubbs, second by Commissioner Adams. Any other questions or
Yeah, I
comments?
got a question.
Commissioner
I
Adams.
just wonder if Elaine needs one of the commissioners to deliver some brochures to Germany
Absolutely.
and Netherlands.
Absolutely.
Position.
Absolutely. When is your term ending? I can hire you as an independent contractor.
Okay, move on.
No, I just have a comment. I like the idea you're getting all these new things, because all at once you can see the whole more of the picture.
Mm-hmm.
If we do one every year, then another one, that's will give the one picture a more complete picture. Maybe not all the way complete, but
Right. we have a lot of different things that are happening. We're actually, this has nothing to do with the contracts, but we have a conversation happening with our rep in France because they have a museum that talks about American history. So we are, I'm always coming up with ideas, but I have this idea that if we can take, say, Steve Simpson down in at Twin Rocks, he's got some incredible, Native American art, rugs, baskets, whatever. And if we can collaborate with this museum in France to do something, and we're going to talk to Steve about that. So we're really trying to branch out and do some things that maybe are a little bit different than what we've done in the past. So just to show our more of our culture and our history and, what has happened in San Juan County and what we are. So,
it is a reviving kind of idea, trying to be part of the Native American culture. I see that even in my birth country. Probably people, they don't have native blood, they're European. They're kind of celebrating and more curious about the people that came before them, that were here, whatever. So it is a renaissance of idea, food, all kinds of stuff. So anyway, thank you.
Okay, got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's 3 in favor. Next item.
Okay, on this one here, you got consideration and approval of the 2024 relic marketing contract.
this will be the last contract officially with Relic. We are going out for with the new RFP for 2024, and I'm in the process of completing that draft because we have to reach out and see what other opportunities there might be out there. And Relic has been working with us for before I got here to San Juan County. But I think that I'll draft the RFP, we'll get that out, and we'll see who applies. And I think it'll be interesting to see what submissions we receive. But this contract is for 2024, and it is for all of the marketing. And I have to say they've done a really good job. I was on the fence about them when I first came here, but they've done a really good job, and I think they've increased a lot of our SEO for the website. So they're working very diligently. But again, they can apply when the RFP gets out there, and we'll see what happens. So this is for their contract of $259,100, and this will be offset. Half of it will be offset from the Utah Office of Tourism grant that we receive. So, and with this coming up this year, if Goldings, when the sale happens, and if we do lose, which I'm not sure, I have a question into the tax commission because we don't know how that's going to work out, but we will lose about 23% of our total transient room tax, which is really going to hit San Juan County hard for our department plus the general fund, because it does cover, right?
You got the sheriff in there. You got
Exactly.
the attorney. Yes.
We need, as much as people don't want it in this San Juan County community, we need lodging properties here. We need to bring in more transient room tax. And unless, and I'm going to go on record saying this, unless the residents want to pay more, get out your checkbook, then we need to have development here for lodging properties. So it's one or the other. Either the lodging properties and the tourist visitors are going to bring in the transient room tax, or get out your checkbook and pay more taxes.
Or bring in more businesses.
Yes,
And manufacturing.
exactly. Yeah.
Economic development.
And that's the thing that we had to kind of, I don't want to say educate, but inform the public, because I think they would be on board. Because, I think the people that are paying taxes, basically at the two largest communities we have, they're supporting the county. And my goal is to work as part of
Mhm.
working with your committee about trying to find more source of money for our county. We don't go to those people. They bought a house long time ago. They retire, and all of a sudden the property goes high.
Right.
And so, and I just feel like they have sacrificed a lot to keep our county going, and so
Well, I think
Maybe we
too
should-
that the resolution that you all passed at the beginning of 2023 about
yeah.
being pro-economic development
Open
says a
for
lot.
business, being
Yeah, open for business. I mean, that says a lot. We just need to find more ways, and we're reaching out. I've got a whole list of things that we're going to be doing to reach out to different, especially from the sales tax leakage list that's there. I'm working on those categories and the NAICS codes, and to how we can bring development to San Juan County, because we need it. This is going to be a real hit for our community, losing the transient room tax from Goldings. If that's the case, I haven't gotten a final word or an
It
official
was about
officially on it.
400,000.
A little less than that, but yeah, it's quite a hit, So
Well, thank you.
Thank you. All right, commissioners need a motion for the contract.
I'll make motion that we approve the marketing contract.
Motion by Commissioner Adams,
I'll second.
second by Commissioner Stubbs. Any other comments, commissioners? If there's none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's 3 in favor. Thank you much.
thank you very much. I appreciate your time and your
you.
support.
Thanks for your good work.
Good job, Elaine. This next item, number 15, consideration and approval of a resolution of the governing body of San Juan County authorizing the execution and delivery of a municipal lease purchase agreement with respect to the acquisition, financing, and leasing of certain equipment for the public benefit, with the terms provided herein, authorizing the execution and delivery of the documents required in connection therewith, and authorizing the taking of all other actions necessary to the consummation of the transactions contemplated by this resolution. This resolution, you had approved this last year in one of our commission meetings back in October, November. So November, you approved the original resolution. When I went to add another leased vehicle is when we realized that we didn't put the right amount on the resolution, and so we put $500,000 before. If tomorrow we wrecked all of the vehicles that we're leasing, we would have to come up with more than $500,000, and so we've readjusted the amounts to add the additional vehicles on here, but also more importantly, that the amount covers in total, if we purchased everything outright, what that would cost for coverage. So in here, we've changed it. Really, it's just this section here, upping the cost from $500,000 to $2.7 million to cover all of the leased vehicles, as well as to add additional lease vehicles. We had one lease that was still with a previous vendor. This one here is through Unified. They've been pretty good to work with. Our previous vendor that we had gone with, Bankcore, had not so much, not very responsive in leasing. I'm the one that reaches out to them, telling them our lease is expired with you. What do we want to do? And so we've leased from them a landfill vehicle, and so we'll take and bring that on Unified system, so that all of our leases and vehicles will now be leased by one vendor instead of the older vendors that we had. And so that was kind of the correction that we just had to make to this resolution. It was just that item itself. And so we will continue to lease them. It doesn't mean that we're buying them outright, but in order to get the lease, if there's something to happen, this is how much we'd have to come up with to buy them all outright.
All right, commissioners. Commissioner Adams.
Mac, if we had a devastating event and lost all of our vehicles, and taken into account that we would get a settlement from USIP.
Yeah,
to replace
and
those?
settle there. We send them our insurance information. So Unified is aware that we are insured by them. It's just still when we had the lease, they would first, if something devastating did happen, they would first contact us, and then I would have to file the claim with USIP. And so we're beholden to the entity that's leasing the vehicles to us and the bank that's financing it behind the scenes. But ultimately, yes, you're right. If something devastating did happen, we would definitely file a claim with USIP for that assistance.
Okay.
Okay, I need a motion, commissioners, to approve the amendment to the resolution.
I'll make a motion to approve the made to the contract.
All right, motion
The
by
resolution.
Commissioner Stubbs.
Yeah, I'll second the motion
Second
to
by-
approve the resolution.
Second by Commissioner Adams. Any other comments or questions? There's none. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's 3 in favor. Next item.
Okay, this next one's consideration and approval of Spanish Valley overnight accommodations overlay application for the El Rancho development. This is Kristen Bushnell. This is her first presentation opportunity
Oh,
here.
man.
So if I get out of line, get me back in my lane.
Pressure.
So we have El Rancho Development with Sheikh Han is applying for Spanish Valley overnight overlay, accommodation overlay. It is collectively 2.5 acres, and you can see the parcel numbers there. The current zoning is residential flex. The rezoning was approved at the November 7th Board of Commissions meeting. So this application is to request both to apply the Spanish Valley overnight accommodations overlay to these parcels and attach their approval to the El Rancho subdivision development plans. In the past, the Planning Commission has approved Spanish Valley overnight accommodations overlay application in 3 steps, and so this would be our last step. This 3-step consideration process is outlined in Chapter 10 of our Spanish Valley ordinances. There is somewhat of a precedence, and we want to be consistent in the way that we handle these applications. So it was most recently recommended at the December 14th Planning Commission meeting that we discuss the application in accordance with our ordinances, and the Planning Commission voted to recommend the approval to apply the overnight accommodation overlay on these properties. The positive recommendation passed with 5 voting yea and 1 abstain.
Okay, commissioners, consideration for approval. How'd you like, Commissioner Adams? Question?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve, but I do have one question I'd like to ask.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Adams. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Commissioner Stubbs. Go ahead,
It
Commissioner.
looks like that Google Earth photo that we have at the first of our thing there shows that maybe it's already under construction. Do you know if have they started already?
No,
I think you have the one residential there, but I'm not aware of any other construction taking place there.
But-
One of them's the applicant, but if you look at the parcel there that he's provided in the subdivisions down below, you kind of see, so there's an existing home on lot 3B, and then you see on the overlay that existing that's on, not seeing a C2,
Oh, okay.
looks like.
All right, I got you.
The rest are still empty. Nevertheless, even with an existing home. So last commission meeting that she'd mentioned, you guys had approved the zone change for it to go
Okay.
into that residential flex zone. And now this is placing the overlay district on it. So even on those existings, they would still be allowed to have the overnight rentals in those existing buildings. A lot of this from the applicant side, it was super concerned with when we changed the zoning, we created an island of kind of the Spanish Valley residential piece next to him. You have these adjacent properties that are zoned a separate zone than his is, and so it kind of created this island, that he was surrounded by a zoning that we couldn't change because they were owned by the gravel companies, the gravel pits, and so he's adjacent to that. So the planning commission, as they looked at this, they were comfortable with it, knowing that this piece of property here, going residential flex and having the overnight overlay district, was kind of surrounded by overnight accommodations, but it was closer to the highway, into that highway commercial zone. And so they liked the fact that it kind of continues and flexes into the residential flex, but then further on it gets into, once you can jump across the gravel pit sections, then you're getting into more of the residential. And so they felt that it was still more appropriate than just having single family homes right here, but you can also allow for that.
Where's the
overnight
ingress and
accommodation.
egress at, Mac?
So right up here, off of Ranch Road is where they come down.
Oh, okay.
And
Right
then you've
there,
got
and
the
then that
cul-de-sac.
goes into that cul-de-sac.
Correct.
Okay.
So that will continue.
So there is
to
an
be the
ingress and
case.
egress.
Yes.
I just couldn't tell
Yeah,
for
it's just
sure.
off of that
It's off
ranch
of that
road. I
road
think the
there.
ranch trail.
Okay. Okay, that's all I have.
Okay, all right. Any other questions, commissioners? No. All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's 3 in favor. All right, we're
Okay.
good. Next item.
This one here is item 17, consideration and approval of the Spanish Valley overnight accommodations overlay application for Valley Estates development. I'll let you go ahead and tee this one up.
So the Valley Estates development, also by Chican, is applying for the Spanish overnight accommodations overlay. This one is collectively 4.5 acres of private property in Spanish Valley. You can see the parcels there. Also following a very similar path, these parcels are currently residential flex, and the rezone was approved at that same meeting, November 7th. This application is to request to both apply the Spanish Valley overnight accommodations overlay, I'll get really good at saying that one day, to these parcels and attach the approval to the Valley Estates development plans. In the past, Planning Commission has approved Spanish Valley overnight accommodations in the 3 steps, as previously mentioned. And this one, just to follow up, was also recommended at the December 14th Planning Commission meeting, that we discussed the application in accordance with our ordinances, and we voted to recommend the approval to apply the overnight accommodation overlay on the properties with a positive recommendation of 6 voting yay and 1 voting nay.
Okay, on this one, there was some discussion with, considerable discussion with the Planning Commission, where this one here was a little bit further from highway commercial. The question is, well, what does it flex into with residential flex, and why would we have overnight accommodation overlay clear over here on the opposite side, so far away from the highway commercial? Just as a reminder, to the north of this property is the Balance Rock Resort, in which we did approve the overnight overlay and the zoning change with this. To me, we see this kind of as a complementary development to Balance Rock Resort, where we were working with the developer in a continuation of infrastructure. So both of them will participate in infrastructure development here, but also more importantly, also the road infrastructure as well, is making sure as individuals drive into Balance Rock Resort, we can try to get them to designate an area for a public road to come through here, and so the public width as well, so that we have enough right of way and just access through this area, so that in the future, and it doesn't mean, when we both told the developers, doesn't mean that right now the county's going to take over these roads that are, we see them as private. But if you remember back from your training, it doesn't matter whether or not we accept them. If the public uses this road to get to another area, then it automatically becomes public after 10 years. And so with keeping that in mind, it was important for us to have those discussions with these developers about creating a public road width-wise, so that in the future, when it does come time to snowplow, things like that. Now they're going to place the infrastructure and asphalt of the roads already for us, and we'll make sure that they're following our standards and conditions for roads. But it was also making sure that they don't put such a high density development in here that they reduce the widths of the road. We want them to develop as a public road, and so this is kind of in conjunction with the Balance Rock Resort, which is that overnight rental resort to that. And so this is the first of the steps that that they have to take on your approvals tonight or today, where you're approving the overlay district to be applied. Then we'll work with them to make sure that they're meeting all of the standards and conditions of the overlay district. There is some work that we need to do in our overall zoning ordinance to make sure that there's clear language in there. And this is one of those that, well, both of these as sheiks, both of these were heavily discussed in concern of just the property sizes, distance from highway commercial, and just in general, you know, as we're starting to see a trend. This is the fourth or fifth entity that's come forward wanting the zone change to get overnight overlay districts applied to the zoning. And so we just need to look at what we're doing in a general sense in this area to make sure that the approvals that we're making aren't going to cause us problems in the future. This one, I feel as staff, it's pretty supported, where we have Balance Rock Resort just going to the north, and it kind of creates and follows through this. But also when you look at Sitla's plan, so if you look back at this overlay, the Google Earth, you have all of the Sitla properties that are in between here. The county, we have our building in here as well. The health district does, and then our property is just right behind it. But this is kind of all supposed to be developed in the future for that town center or the city center in here. And so kind of makes sense when you look at the Sitla thought of applying a civic center, commercial district, all of that in this area, and then it automatically just kind of transitioning to a residential flex into residential. Then it makes sense when you kind of know all of the pieces that are coming in. And so, but there was a concern, just, okay, what are we doing in general? Our new zoning ordinances will fix a lot of the concerns that the Planning Commission has in general. And we place that on our website to have an RFP out this week to get somebody in here to help us finalize those ordinances as we continue to have these discussions that are stuck in Planning Commission about these overnights, and are we putting too many overnight rentals into an area, or allowing too many? And I think it's a valid question, but I think also market forces tend to dictate planning as well. And we see right now these overnight accommodations, they're a hot commodity item in Spanish Valley, but yeah, we still do have to have the controls and the regulations to make sure that we're not harming the health and lifestyles of our long-term residents.
Having those two projects there next to each other helps start framing up the, you start visualizing, because you can say, yeah, we're going to do this and this, but we don't see it. But having this, start seeing that, helping with a bigger picture.
And I think that's been one thing that's been kind of hard to visualize it with the Planning Commission, is the overall picture.
Yeah.
And hopefully this RFP will lend us a resource that can help us put together some of those maps.
All right, commissioners, got a overnight accommodation overlay application from Valley Estates Development. How would you?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Yeah, I'll second the motion.
Motion by Commissioner Stubbs, second by Commissioner Adams.
Good job.
Any other questions? If none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's 3 in favor. Next item.
Okay,
Thank
this
you for your
next
time. You
one.
got
Thank you.
Thanks, Christine. Good job. Okay, this next one, consideration and approval of the final subdivision plat for San Juan Estates, Lot 2 amended
we have
for
one more.
M3W LLC, Taylor Manning. This item was before you previously, and I had you table it once I heard that there were other concerns with the plat, the final plat, and so we've gone through and worked with the surveyor on here and had him make the modifications. He's done so, and now we're back before you for that final approval. They had wanted some of the measurements and everything around the property didn't close quite correctly, and so we had them close that, as well as they wanted septic location to be on that final plat, so as if they sell off these properties, then we'll have that located for future owners. We did add that language on here that under the current zoning, at the time these will be recorded, no short-term rentals, overnight accommodations, bed and breakfast, lodging houses, or any other variation of overnight accommodations for nightly rentals is prohibited. So we've got that right up front, so that they know, as well as that they're going to have to be maintaining the road into here, that it's not a county road. And so
Is this in Spanish Valley as well?
this is in Spanish Valley.
Okay.
Correct.
Can I make a motion we approve?
Go ahead, Commissioner Adams. Motion to approve by Commissioner Adams,
And I'll second.
second by Commissioner Stubbs. Any other comments, questions? If none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that's 3 in favor. Thanks much. Next item is public hearing.
Okay, this is a public hearing, so I need you to make a motion to enter into a public
Make a motion, we go into public hearing to consider CDBG items.
I'll second.
Second. Okay, motion by Commissioner Adams for going into public hearing. Second by Commissioner Stubbs. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We're now in public hearing mode.
Okay, so let me describe what's going on, and we can turn it to any members of the public. Be careful.
Hopefully there's no police watching us.
Totally. All right, so the purpose of this public hearing is to provide citizens with pertinent information about the community development block grant program and to allow for discussion of possible applications from the public, not necessarily the county. And so this public hearing will cover eligible activities, program requirements, and expected funding allocations in the region. CDBG program can fund a broad range of activities, including but not limited to construction of public works and facilities, water and sewer lines, fire stations, acquisition of real property, and provisions of public service such as food banks and homeless shelters. In the event that San Juan County chooses to apply for CDBG funding, a second public hearing will be held at a later time to discuss the project. In the packet, I've provided kind of the total amounts that were originally anticipated for this area. We fall under the Southeastern Utah Association of Local Governments, which was anticipated that they would receive $778,284 for this region. In a material that was provided by Southeastern Utah Association of Governments, they had also mentioned that the AOG had set aside specific goals for 2024 program year for CDBG funding, and that in those two goals, along with the other goals on here, most monetary in act is we've got $174,000, which will be set aside to fund their region-wide housing programs. So when we had the question regarding weatherization and some of the efforts for single-family housing rehabilitation, that's where those funds are allocated from. So they've got $174,000 that's anticipated to be allocated towards that. Also, $100,000 will be set aside to fund region-wide CDBG administration, consolidation planning, general planning assistance, and affordable housing planning and economic development technical assistance. So in our funding this year, as you heard, the need for GIS, some of these funds go to help towards that as well. And so we reached out to them to assist us with the GIS component. Other than that, the goals here are pretty standard. State of Utah has established the minimum amount of funding of $30,000 per project, and the maximum amount is limited by the annual allocation amount. In the past, as the counties applied for it's an arduous process, as you can see, just going through the first public notice. But we had the elevator here in this building that was funded through CDBG funds in the past. I'm not aware of too many others beside that. That's the most recent that's on the top of my head that we've applied for in the past. But at this time, it's really just to hear from the public to see if they have any applications that they would want us to apply for. So it's literally for the public today.
Okay. So we
With that,
had-
I just asked if there's any public comments. I'm not seeing anybody in the audience. I don't know if Daryl wants to make. And then just to note, because we'd found this out in the past, is the Navajo Nation also does receive CDBG funds through their own system. You have to apply for projects on the reservation through the Navajo Nation CDBG process. And so this is strictly just from the border on up that our process can cover.
This is the SC log. Is it the southeastern Utah
Yeah.
county? Okay.
Yep. Through that AOG, they help administer.
It's a
These
four
funds.
county organization.
Okay. And they usually publish their numbers too, right? And that it's just a direct application.
Yeah, they should, through the Navajo Nation system, should have that same publishing that we have
Okay.
on ours. And that was one of the requirements of today's public hearing, is that we describe how much funding is available through that Association of Governments. I'll have to look and see if I can find the Navajo Nations. That'd be interesting to know.
Yeah, I think I can ask for those numbers too, because
Yeah.
they might be helpful. So it's just county. It's just got to make that information available then.
Correct.
And
Yep.
if there's an entity that's interested in applying,
Yeah.
for the-
So they would just contact us if they were wanting to apply. We can help them through the process.
okay. I think for us commissioners, we just continue to share the information then.
Yeah, yep, that it's available. January 31st is the application deadline on here, and so as long as we can get everything in before that deadline, then but any members of the public that are wishing to make an application can reach out and contact me, and we can put them in touch with either the AOG or give them the documents to apply and the process.
All right. Well, we're officially in public hearing mode right now, so don't know if there's any other public comments or questions regarding the CDBG program. Anyone out there?
Looks like we still have two that are online. If anybody's online wishing to make a public comment, you can go ahead and unmute yourself. I am not seeing anybody unmute themselves, so that would be your two. Okay.
How's it allocated now?
You need to come up
Come
and
up to the mic. We can
state
get
your
these on
name for the record.
the minutes.
Doug Allen, I just wondering how they allocate it now.
In
Is it done by the four county all competing at once?
the whole entire state competes for the federal funds, where it's a
Yeah.
federal program. So they've got 5,500. Let's see, 5,500,000
Mhm.
is allocated throughout all of the AOGs, and then our portion was anticipated to get the 778. It should be on.
Yeah, I
number.
saw that, but the four counties have to compete against each other, right?
So correct, yeah.
All the-
So at
all
all,
the entities.
as we get the applications, there will be an evaluation team. There's evaluation criteria that they already have in advance of the applications. So they would go through, form the evaluation committee to look over the projects to see if they meet the requirements of the program, and then score them on the matrix that's already been created. And then if you score high enough and they're still in the money, then those projects would be awarded those funds.
Okay.
They anticipate that the projects and hope that the projects are shovel ready, that they've already gone through the engineering aspect of it so that they can take off and get the money out the door as soon as possible.
I think that's the way it was when I was on the
Okay.
AOG. Okay, thank you.
You bet.
Make a motion, we close public hearing, go back into our commission meeting.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Adams to close public hearing. I'll second that motion. I don't think we have any other questions to close. So
No, that was it right there. And then
we'll go ahead and vote for closing the public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We're out of public hearing mode now.
okay.
And
Other than
back
that, that's
to the
all we had to
agenda.
have right there.
I think it's reports now, right, Commissioner?
The only thing I have to report is that I'm going to leave tomorrow to go to CIB on Thursday, this next week, and then I don't think the legislature starts until about the 16th. So that's all I have to report.
Okay. For my report, I think we're working on interviews this week for the
Tomorrow.
Children's Justice Center director, and we also have a meeting scheduled down in Bluff with the Navajo Nation Public Safety and our county emergency services.
Friday.
I think that's going to be a huge meeting Friday at 1 p.m. So
Did the time change to 1?
last I remember was 1 p.m. by
Okay.
Tammy.
Okay.
So
We'll follow up to make sure.
yeah, double check on that. So that's an important meeting. I know that there's been a need to get Navajo Nation more involved with responding out down on the Navajo Nation area, and hopefully work out an agreement that, you know, our sheriffs and the Navajo Nation PD can work together and being more efficient with victims out on the reservation areas of our community. But that's the only information I have, other than the human body is truly an amazing thing, because I'm recovering from a nasty cold, and I'm just grateful that our Heavenly Father has given us the ability to heal, not quickly, but surely. So wishing everyone a good holiday, New Year's. It's a new year now, so happy New Year to everyone. Wish all your goals come to fruition. I know Commissioner Adams wants to be muscular this year, I'm sure. So, but happy holidays, and I think this concludes our meeting. If we're gonna
Okay, I'll make a motion, we adjourn our meeting.
motion by Commissioner Adams, I'll second. All those in favor for adjournment, aye.
Aye.
We are now closed, 12:19 p.m.
There we have it.
Awesome.
Okay. Let's see.